what people need to understand is that why is stuff now more expensive than in 1970 or 80 or whatever, right? Like what you said about the apples, I also use it as an example. Like, does an apple need more energy to grow? No, like there's probably less people involved getting also apples from trees than like 30 years ago, right? So we are more efficient in growing, harvesting apples, but an apple is probably more expensive now. And I just saw a tweet: 1970 cost of living, new house $23,450, new car $3,450, movie ticket $1.55, gasoline 36 cents for a gallon, milk 62 cents for a gallon, coffee $1.90 per pound, eggs, that's a big topic in the US, 59 cents per dozen, right? And the average income was $9,400, and everyone could have a family with 2 children and a car and a home without just one person working. And all these things were there 50 years ago, and all these things are here now, but nominally, just numbers wise, they're all priced higher, which, if you think about the natural state of this free market, right, that the prices should go down with increased innovation, that doesn't really make sense, right? So these are two forces that are like fighting with each other. And if you think about the price of bread and apples and eggs and all that stuff, cars and etc., you have to, although I think it's a hard thing to accept, you have to accept that the side that's winning is the bad money, and you need to get out of the bad money, basically.
Yeah, that's the thing. That I think that's the secret here. If you get out of that crappy money, then you can get ahead. If you get out
Yes.
of the
Yes.
US dollar, you can finally start putting your time, energy, and effort towards the things that actually matter. If you it's Saifedean says it as well, right? We have people working basically 2 jobs right now. First, they work this job to earn money, then they work a job to pay to get that money
Yes.
to stay in their bank account. Because
Yes.
if they don't, then somebody else takes that money from them. No matter how hard you work, no matter how much time you dedicate towards your job, no matter how much you delay gratification, if you save in dollars, you're going to be more broke than you are today in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. The value of your money is decreasing every single hour, every single minute, every single second. It's decreasing by a certain amount because more and more money is being added to the system, and whatever you have is being diluted. So if you don't understand that, you can't get ahead. There's
Mm-hmm.
no way to get ahead if you don't get that. If you don't understand that your value of the value of your currency is decreasing, if you focus on, like I said before, corporate greed, if you focus on, oh, my government is the best allocator of capital, if you focus on capitalism is for losers and we need to get rid of capitalism, we need to get rid of Bitcoin, we need to make everything green, we need to focus on the weather. If you focus on that, then you're not creating value and you're going to go broke. If you focus on all of that, you're probably also focused on, you're probably not thinking at all about how the US dollar works. You're not thinking about how the US dollar is broken. You're not thinking about how to solve your actual problems.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just complaining. That's really it. So what Bitcoin does is it brings us back to earth. It makes us think about the reality of the situation. If everything is decreasing in price in terms of Bitcoin and it's increasing in price in terms of US dollars, what's the main difference here? Why is that happening? And once you start peeling the layers back, you kind of start seeing where this is going.
I think it was in October. I was in a plane on the way to New York, and I flew. Was from Miami to New York, so I flew over. Just developed land, empty land, and I was just looking down, and with the European mind cannot comprehend just the vastness, right, of America, but like all the stuff that's been built. And of course, I had a Bitcoin conversation in Miami. I was thinking about Bitcoin. I was watching Bitcoin stuff, and then I was thinking, well, this fiat money system has helped a country move in a very quick way in a short, in country age, a short amount of time, and helped that specific country develop a lot, right? And I can see that people would use this argument, and I think it's true also, right? Like if you just see the big development in the US just in general, but this is a party that has an end. That's the other thing that you have to realize. And I think it's also a good message for us as Bitcoiners to share that we do see that, right? But again, just for people that are not yet that much into Bitcoin, it's just really important to understand that, yes, you profited off something and you were lucky to be born in a certain part of the world and all these things, and it's all great. And, America basically abuses the rest of the world because they can just print the currency and other countries have to pay with it. It's all true. And that's why you have a better life. But that's why it's even more important, I'd say, to just realize how predatory the system eventually is, because it's designed basically to not survive. Like any fiat money system, like no money system like that has ever survived. So you have to accept that you profited of something that is predatory to other people, and then you have to also accept that eventually it's assured towards a collapse. Does
Yeah,
that
if
make
it's
sense?
predatory,
Yeah.
if it's predatory towards other people, eventually it'll be predatory towards you.
Yes.
Right? You may not realize it.
Yes.
Even real estate investors, they think, oh, I'm protected because I own this real estate, I own all this land, I own all these properties. But what are you going to do when your government says to you that instead of just state taxes, we're also going to charge federal taxes on properties? That's going to be really fun to deal with. I think that's going to be absolutely insane for real estate investors if that happens. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if it happens, what's going to happen is, let's say they increase your property taxes from 1% to 4%, 5%. What's your property value going to decrease to? There's no guarantee that that's not going to happen. There's also no guarantee that if governments really find an incentive in trying to make housing cheaper because now Bitcoin exists, how do you know that they're not going to start digging into the ground to build condos and apartments and just pump up the value, pump up the supply of real estate so much that prices actually start coming down? How do you know that if you're a real estate investor, how do you know that your government's not going to start funding 3D printed homes, prefabricated homes? How do you know that that's not going to happen? So the system is predatory towards the poor right now, the people who don't understand how fiat works. And I actually think, actually, I would say the system is predatory towards the people who don't understand how assets work right now. I think it's going to transition to being predatory towards anybody who doesn't understand how fiat works in general. And most real estate investors don't actually understand how fiat works. They buy real estate because they want the cash flows, but the cash flows are decreasing in value over time. They want stocks because they want dividends. But again, those dividends are decreasing in value over time. Even what you own with stocks and real estate, with stocks, actually, what you own isn't actually there. People say that they want to own the stock because they want the cash flow the company is providing. How many cash flows have you gotten from Amazon? How many dividends have you gotten?
Yeah,
None.
none. Right. Yeah, exactly.
None.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all a trap, right? It's all just a way to keep
Yeah.
your money
Yeah.
stranded in one location so that you can't take it out and you can't do anything with it. If you start taking your 401k out, for example, inflation is going to go up. That's part of it, right? The goal is to have you delay spending as much as possible so that by the time you're old, you want fewer things, you want to spend, you have less
Yes.
energy to
Yes.
spend money.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have less things that you can actually put your money towards. The goal is to kick the can down the road. They're kicking the can down the road with your kids. They're also kicking the can down the road with you. You may think that, oh, it's only the younger generations that are going to be affected. No, you're affected too. You're going to be hit just as hard as the previous generations or the future generations.
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, when baby boomers want to retire and they have tons of stocks, they're going to dump their stocks on Gen X. Then when Gen X is going to retire, they're going to dump their stocks on millennials. Then when millennials are going to retire, they're going to dump their stocks on Gen Z. At some point, nobody's going to want stocks anymore and the entire system collapses. I don't know how long that's going to take, but I think Bitcoin is going to be the reason for that. I think people are going to want Bitcoin over stocks. People are going to sell their stocks, they're going to sell their real estate to buy Bitcoin.